The next of the great popes to look at is someone that you do need to keep in mind, that is Innocent III. I've always found, as I mentioned last week, the use of the taken name Innocent for anyone to be somewhat problematic. Innocent III, and his dates are 1161 to 1216. He becomes Pope in 1198, so right at the beginning of the 13th century, right before the beginning of the 13th century. He was elected at 37 years of age. His view of the papacy can be seen in his likening, and this is very important in their thinking. I mentioned the two spheres, and so Innocent likened the papacy to the sun and the civil authorities to the moon. So, as we know, the moon actually does not produce any light of its own. It is simply reflecting a greater light, and hence, from his perspective, this would indicate to us the reality that the papacy is actually the source of all authority, and that the civil authorities merely reflect that greater authority that is actually seen in the papacy. Like Gregory before him, Innocent had conflicts with secular rulers. For example, John of England disputed the appointment of the Archbishop of Canterbury, the chief prelate in England. And so Innocent excommunicated John, and then he used what is called the interdict. Now, this was a really specifically and nasty card to play to perform, whatever you might say, from the clerical or religious side. What the interdict involves is the Pope saying to all priests that they are to suspend all of their activities within a particular area. And so that would mean no religious services, no baptisms, no confirmations, no burials until the king gave in. Now, that wouldn't have nearly the impact today that it did then, but realize that from their perspective, the baptism of the child, there's a huge amount of infant mortality. This is before the plague, but there's still a huge amount of infant mortality. And so if your child can't be baptized, then your child is being banished to hell. Final rites before death, burial, Christian burial. I mean, you would think, in looking at things from our perspective today, that this would make the Pope look really bad in everybody's eyes, but there wasn't anything they could do about that. The Pope's Pope. What it did is it put huge pressure upon John, upon the secular ruler. And so John caved in, gave a papal tax of 1,000 marks, and made England a vassal state to the papacy. And so here's Innocent III, and he has tremendous power, wields tremendous power, even in the secular realm. We will see that he also engaged in some pretty amazing statements religiously as well at a later point in our study.